Hello everybody. We are live and ready for another edition of the Diversity Chat hosted by PRSA Nashville. I'm Ariel Ellis, the Diversity Chair of the National Chapter, and we're very excited because August is Diversity Month for the Public Relations Society of America. We're very happy and pleased to be able to advocate for diversity and inclusion in the public relations industry. And as a part of the national committee, we've been working very, very hard to give you great content that focuses on not only how we approach diversity as it relates to our organizations and our consumers and clients, but also as we work to have more diverse discussions within the community as well. So we're very excited to host this conversation today. And we have a couple of viewers I see coming in, and I wanted to let you know that you can join us by asking questions through the Q&A. If you're watching through Google Hangout, you just want to go into the Q&A area and submit your questions for our featured guest today. And then also you can tweet us using the hashtag PRDiversity. So we're really excited to welcome this particular guest for this month, Cheryll Forsatz. Cheryll is the Director of Communication for McDonald's New York Metro Region. It consists of about 600 or so McDonald's restaurants and over 100 franchisees. She's the advisor for one of McDonald's flagship markets, of course, New York. And he provides counsel on communication strategies, alignment for McDonald's U.S. and regional business plans. In addition to serving as chief of staff and thought partner for McDonald's New York Metro General Manager, as well as the leadership management team, she's responsible for strengthening relationships and key internal and external audiences, as well as directing PR, public affairs, government relations, and crisis management activities. A very busy woman. She also handles, works very closely with the overall U.S. communication team on leveraging the New York City prominence to build a global McDonald's brand. Prior to her work at McDonald's, she worked for MWW Group, one of the nation's top 10 public relation firms. She served as a senior vice president there, as well as director of the agency's New York practice. She worked with a variety of different clients there while she was there, including Hershey, Bank of America, ING, Samsung, just to name a few. She is the 2013 recipient of the Asian Pacific American Corporate Achievement Award, which celebrates and recognizes APA's Asian Pacific Americans in the corporate sector. So she's also very good for our industry. She's been recognized as one of PR Week's 40 Under 40 honorees back in 2010, and was received awards for Anvil from PRSA and the PRSA Chapter in New York, etc. She's a graduate of
So what's your recommendation?
With her husband and children. One of the major points, and as it relates to leadership with Cheryl, is her role in PRSA. She is the chair of our National Diversity and Inclusion Committee and does a great job in leadership of the committee. So welcome, Cheryl, and we'll start off with a couple of questions with you, and we'll just let the conversation flow from there.
Thank you very much. So coincidentally, I'm on my way to our diversity summit for the brand, where we all get together to figure out how we can use our talents and our perspectives to move the business forward. So I think it's coincidental and serendipitous, actually, that we're having the call today. So I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. So first question, just give us a day in the life of what it's like to work in McDonald's. As you said, you're en route to the airport to a great event that champions diversity. I'd love to have you give us some feedback on what it's like, what's a day in the life like at McDonald's. Give us a snapshot of what that culture's like, and let us know what your job and your path has been like as well.
So I'm responsible for internal and external. So it's everything from making sure that the franchisees know what's going on with the business and the brands, and also helping change customer perceptions of how they feel about the brand. So my day changes from day to day. And I think a big part of it is making sure that diverse audiences know about our brand, and we make sure our brand is relevant to them.
Tell us how you've grown into your role at McDonald's. What have you seen as far as that evolution? How's that evolution take place? How's that evolution taking place, rather? Some of the things that you've changed as it relates to your role, and as well as overall as it relates to communication.
So I think companies nowadays, I think with the brand taking the lead in it, is making sure that our company reflects who the customers that we want to reach. So I think that you'll see that customers or companies that are succeeding in building their business and changing their brand are the ones who are making sure that their company reflects the customers they want to meet. And I think that as more companies value communications and making sure that they've got people on their staff who represent the customers they want to meet or want to reach, are the ones that are going to move ahead. I think that's why I'm very excited about PRSA changing the name of the diversity committee to diversity and inclusion, because it reflects what our marketplace is turning into. We, as America grows and our society grows, we've got such a diverse customer base or different aspects. And diversity isn't just color, it's about diversity of thought. It's experiences. So if you want to hit people from a psychographic level, you need to make sure that your people on your team and your company reflect who you want to reach.
That is so true. Can you tell us a little bit about your path into public relations and what led you to McDonald's?
I'll check.
Say that one more time.
Can you tell us about your path into public relations and perhaps what led you to McDonald's?
Okay, so I started doing radio media tours. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. So I worked for a satellite media company doing publicity for authors, booking radio tours, and I really liked it. I liked being able to tell that story and actually telling a radio station or a TV station why they should have this author on their show. And that's what got me hooked into PR. And then I moved, started agency life, working with a variety of companies, one of them being McDonald's. And then 5 years ago, I came over on this side. But I started at the agency.
Gotcha. What's your path been like in general? How have you seen perhaps diversity or McDonald's be a champion for diversity, and how has that impacted your time there?
So McDonald's definitely champions diversity. Again, I think it's a great story to tell, especially since I'm on my way to the airport to our Unity Summit, where we all get together to celebrate our diversity and see how we can leverage our diversity, not just of culture, but of thought, to move the business forward. And I think that's what makes this brand great, because we recognize that. And from a communications perspective, it's about representing our voice. So whether you're the voice of a woman, an African-American man, or a mom, or an Asian woman, it's how do we leverage our voices and represent your voice. And I'll plug my hashtag that I want to talk about later. But how can we use our voices to make our brand more relevant to our customer base and grow loyalty among that group? And it's really about emotional connection.
Mm-hmm. That is true. What types of research, or actually what types of stats have you found, data have you discovered that really shows practitioners how to tap into diverse markets?
So I think it's a couple of things. So if you look at a stat that alarms me compared to what the diverse marketplace is. So if you look at how our society has grown and just the diversity of markets and multicultural, I think there was a stat where I saw by the year 2020 or 2025, there will be more multicultural children being born. So if you think about the people that we need to reach, but then if you see that multiculturalism, the multicultural marketplace is growing, but if it doesn't match up with the number of people that are entering into the PR or even the marketing space of targeting these specific people. That's not growing. I think that's the stat that I think is the most alarming, and the one that we as PRSA and PRSA needs to focus on.
Got it. Yeah. Talk to us about some of the many case studies. Maybe give us just 2 or 3 where you at McDonald's have been leading the charge on starting or advancing the conversation about diversity, either with your employees or with your consumers, And then what if those campaigns look like where you actually are positioning the value of diversity?
Well, I think that the fact that we're heading out to Chicago with me, the me and all the regions across the country, and I'm sitting here in the car with leadership representing diverse markets, the fact that they're getting us all together, I think positions McDonald's in a great place of valuing diversity. I think for McDonald's as a region as well, for New York, we make sure that we have agencies that target various audiences versus one agency that represents as a collective. But, you know, it's making sure that we've got a team on board that targets the African American market, the Hispanic market, the Asian market, to make sure we're not, but making sure that the brand is relevant to those specific audiences. I think that's where we're leading the charge in that.
Speak to the New York market in general. Of course, we know that New York is a melting pot. So speak to that region, and what are some of the campaigns that you've seen be very successful in that market?
So if you think about it, New York represents, and this is the New York tri-state area, so it's not just New York City, but it's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I think their last stat that I saw was 93 countries are represented in this market alone. So all these customers, and it's also in language. So we have programs that are in Spanish, in various languages, the Asian language, to make sure we reach those audiences. For us, our food and telling our food story is very important. So not only do we have a program called Good Food, Good Neighbor, Good People, but we also have a program called Sabías Qué. So it's Did You Know? And it's primarily targeted toward the Hispanic audience and educating them on our food and food quality. So it's making sure that not only do you have things that are just in language, but making sure that you have programs that are relevant to that market that just happen to be in Spanish.
Right. Is there one in particular that stands out as far as the results? You got really, really good results from a campaign that was focused on multicultural engagement.
So I think I would say Sabías Qué, which is about our food. It's Did You Know? They actually did a partnership with the American Diabetes Association, because that is something that is very critical to that audience and that may prevent them from eating at our restaurants. So it's educating them on how they can fit McDonald's into their lifestyle. And it's really targeted toward that audience. I think that was very successful.
Good. What are some of the what do you think are some of the mistakes that organizations make when they are attempting to attract a more diverse consumer, or they're attempting to target a specific audience, if you will, or target audience? What do you think some of the mistakes that they make when they do that?
So I think one of the mistakes that they make is seeing things on the surface. So just because someone is African American or Hispanic or Asian doesn't necessarily mean they know how to do PR or market to that specific audience. It has to be done by experience and how they grew up and where they live. That should dictate if they're relevant to the voice versus just on the surface based on the color of their skin. I think a lot of companies think, well, I've got, you know, someone who's Black on the team or Hispanic on the team. They'll be able to market to that group. It's not necessarily true. You need to make sure they have their experience and their diversity of thought. It's not just diversity on how you look.
Yeah. Speak to that a little bit more. The diversity of thought, excuse me. The diversity of thought and how that really does, in many cases, weigh a little bit more heavy than some of the other things that you can see on the surface.
Right. So diversity of thought. So I can speak diversity of thought more as a mom than as an Asian sometimes. You know, do you have diversity of thought from in a melting pot living in a diverse city versus someone who's in a rural area? Again, we can create campaigns based on research, but you really, in order to dig deep, you have to talk to your customers or make sure that someone has the experience, firsthand experience, in order for it to be authentic.
How do you think organizations miss the mark on reaching authenticity due to lack of inclusion?
So I think you have to recognize that it's important. Some people think that they could just look at the research and speak to it or check the box versus testing it out, seeing does it work before rolling it out. I think that's how a lot of people make mistakes. They think, well, if I've got people who look of different cultures in a commercial, let's say, well, I've got a smattering of people that means that commercial is relevant to a diverse market. It's not always necessarily so.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That's not necessarily so in every situation.
Correct.
Can you think
so
of
it may look multicultural, but is the message really multicultural in order to resonate? You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've seen commercials there. Well, they've got someone who's black, they have someone who looks like me, they have someone who looks like her. Does it necessarily mean that it's multicultural? Maybe not the message, but it looks right. But is the intent or the insight, the ethnic insight, right? I'd say sometimes some companies miss the mark.
They do. Some companies do miss the mark. How do you know? How does a company know when they missed the mark, and how can they go back and, you know, kind of redeem themselves on that particular initiative or outreach?
I think it's a matter of being transparent and, again, testing things out on the specific market you want to reach first before rolling it out. Is it authentic? Is it true? Before just assuming, well, no, I think just because there's it looks multicultural on the outside, they really need to dig deep and make sure that it's multicultural and ethnic insights are leading it from within.
Mm-hmm. Speak to any of the campaigns that you have experienced or witnessed or been a part of at McDonald's that you were hoping would go over a certain way, but you need to maybe go back to the drawing board and tweak and make better.
I don't know if it would tweak it, but I think a big focus of our food campaign was more for the general market. And then our agency said, you know what, here's a void. I mean, while it's doing great, generally speaking, here is a population who really want to better understand our food. And it was not translated as in language, but made more relevant to Hispanic market. And that insight about the diabetes was something that the Hispanic agency brought to light. And it brought that program that's on food quality and nutrition, made it more relevant and brought it more to light for the Hispanic market.
Right.
So I think just being able to be open to your agency partners or the experts that you have, because they're the ones who are the voices of your ethnic and diverse customer base. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have those speaking on their behalf, then how can you make sure that your campaign is right?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. And I want to remind everybody to tweet us using the hashtag PR Diversity. Send us your questions. We got a little bit of time. We got actually a good amount of time. We're going through the questions pretty quickly, but we want to engage with you. So please give us your questions or any feedback or comments that you have for Cheryl. And I'm sure she'll be glad and delighted to answer them for you and provide some insight. If you would use the hashtag, as I said, PR Diversity. And you can also tweet us if you like at PRSA Nashville as well. Cheryl, speak to us a little bit about what you think, and you mentioned it already, but how do you think that this population shift, which is based on research, probably happened a little bit faster than we think? Speak about how this population shift is really going to have an impact on how we as practitioners approach or switch our approach.
So I don't know if it's necessarily going to switch our approach. It just needs to mean we need to be more disciplined. And that has nothing to do always with color of your skin. So if you start looking at these campaigns, what's the one that comes to mind is the Tylenol commercial that just came out about who do you love and how do you love? Sure. Hold on one second. We just got to the airport. If you look at Tylenol, and it's who do you love and how do you love families are changing. And it's no longer the traditional family, but it doesn't mean that it's not a family. So if you look at the people that were featured in their ad, they had two fathers, multicultural, but I think that Tylenol got it right. They understood the diversity of the marketplace and spoke to that. They got a lot of buzz, but it showed that the brand was being relevant on who they wanted to reach and representative of today's family and what love means.
Very good example. Thank you so much. We'll give you a second to kind of reposition.
Right. You can ask to keep talking while I put you on mute or try to get my bag.
Sure. As I mentioned, everybody, we have Cheryll Forsatz, our guest. presenter for this month's Diversity Chat. This is Diversity Month for PRSA, and we've really been working to advance the conversation, and not just the conversation, but just advance the practice of diversity for practitioners, but also to create more opportunities for the industry to become more and more diverse. So we want to be able to continue to have these conversations. And Cheryll is our chair of the National Committee for Diversity and Inclusion. So we're really excited to have her today. And even though she's in transit today, she was very, very gracious to join us as our guest host. And we're just going to wrap up with some additional questions and then end with any Q&A we might have from our viewers. Cheryll, are you at a good place?
Yes, I'm just waiting to go to the stand, so I'm good.
Talk a little bit about the work that you do with PRSA, or I should say the work that we do with PRSA on the committee, and what that means for the industry.
So for me, I'm sorry, I was looking for my credit card. I think what I'm most proud of with PRSA and the Diversity Committee is, one, we're making that change that it's diversity and inclusion, which I think represents the larger picture for our industry as a whole. It's the people think diversity and they automatically think, okay, it's color of your skin. But again, it goes back to this diversity of thought. And if you go back to, how our world is changing, what the definition of family means, the definition of millennials and what that means, it really is about diversity of thought. The LGBT community, what does, who is your customer, and making sure that we have a pipeline of people who represent the target audiences we have so we can represent their voice. So I think there are two things I'd love to get you all rallied around and that I'm most proud of is, one, having diversity and inclusion, that mission, have it be more than a month, that this really is a kickoff point, that we are all committed to making sure our organizations are diverse in thought, but also making sure that we have a pipeline of diverse students entering the field. So for the future of brands and companies and their success to come, because our society is changing, it's becoming more diverse. And if we don't have those voices and people that represent those voices in the pipeline for communications and PR, brands won't be able to better serve or be more relevant to the people they're trying to reach. That's what I'm most proud of and really want a call to action for us to achieve. Hold on one second. Did you change the slide? Yeah.
Finish your questions with the PR diversity hashtag. Send us some questions that you have, and send us your feedback on anything that Cheryll has said that you want to contribute to. Cheryll, one more question. Talk to us about what it takes to recruit and retain more diverse candidates to the industry. Why is that so key? You kind of ended with that. Will you speak a little bit more to that?
So I think it's a matter of getting people within your organization championing that and understanding the importance of it. I think it starts with us. I have the benefit, and I'm very fortunate that I work for an organization that values diversity and make sure that it's at the table, so it's not a hard sell for me or other people in the organization to understand why diversity is important. But if you're having trouble or challenge with making sure that your leadership understands the importance of diversity, look at research, use case studies of other organizations that are similar to them that have championed diversity and have had diverse campaigns, and use as case studies to make your point. So I think once you start from leadership, educating them, but then also creating a groundswell among employees, I think that's how we'll make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, tweet us, PR Diversity, tweet us at, with using the hashtag, as well as tweeting us at PRSA Nashville to get any feedback or questions to Cheryll. Last question, one more question rather. Do you have any last thoughts as it relates to PRSA, our expansion into not just diversity, but diversity and inclusion? Speak, I guess, overall as to the importance of the month and what else that might look like. I think we lost her. I think we lost her, you guys. She was in the airport headed to a diversity summit for McDonald's. So I think we may have lost her, but if she can join us again, I'm sure that she will, because we have about a good 20 minutes or so left. But please, again, send in your questions. I'm looking for your questions, and we'll really appreciate if you send them. Let me make an appeal to you. If you are in the Nashville area and you're a member of PRSA, or you would like to be a member of PRSA, we welcome you to our chapter. Whether you're a young professional, entry level, senior, mid-level, no matter, freelance, agency owner, working in corporate or nonprofit, we welcome you to be a member of our organization. So we're calling you. Nashville is growing, and Nashville is becoming more and more diverse. And we realize that beyond race, gender, age, any of that, we need diversity of thought. We need diversity of perspective. And not only in Nashville, but also in some of our major cities that have chapters as well. So if you're not in Nashville and you're watching, I definitely encourage you to get involved with your chapter, with your local PRSA chapter, and determine not only how you can, pay dues and go to events every once in a while, but determine how you can actually make an impact from a leadership perspective, or contribute some feedback on how the industry is represented in your city. How is the PR industry being represented in your city? And that's what you can do as a member of PRSA. So I encourage you to get involved if you're not already involved. And hopefully Cheryl will join us again, because I just saw a question come through. But again, she was traveling, or is traveling, to a Unity Summit that McDonald's hosts. And that is completely focused on the work of diversity and inclusion within that organization. So she may be able to join us in a couple more minutes before we end. So again, encouraging you to join a chapter, but also encouraging you to, once you join that chapter, if you are passionate about diversity, which, I can't say that everyone should be, but maybe you're passionate about some other things. But if you are passionate about making the industry rich in culture, rich in thought, rich in perspective, I definitely encourage you to think about the ways in which your chapter places a priority on diversity, and if that's some effort that you can lead or contribute to, that would be great. I guess on behalf of Cheryl, I can ask you to get involved and be a part of perhaps our national committee and the work that we're doing. We actually have a chat coming up tomorrow. This is a Twitter chat coming up tomorrow night at 5 Central. 7 p Central, 8 p Eastern. And this particular chat is going to be focused on advancing the industry through bringing in more diverse candidates. So starting in the classroom, what does it look like to recruit students early on with diverse backgrounds, whether, again, no matter the ethnicity, but they come from different areas. They have different perspectives. Maybe they've traveled abroad. Maybe they've worked with a variety of different companies or nonprofits through an internship. What does it look like to enhance what the people around the table look like and where they come from within our industry, and starting in the classroom? So that's a very, very important discussion. We're going to host that chat on tomorrow. That it will be Wednesday, August 26th at 7 p Central, 8 p Eastern, of course. If you're on the West Coast, it'll be 5 p.m. And the title of that chat is Shift: Supporting the Advancement of Diverse Candidates. We realize that it's a necessary discussion for us to have about PR practitioners, educators, and industry insiders deciding and carrying a conversation on about what does it take to help support and elevate diverse candidates starting in the classroom. That chat is going to be hosted from the PRSA National Twitter handle. You'll see some retweets coming from the PRSA Diversity handle. You'll see all the tweets or the questions with the PR Diversity hashtag. And we will have some guest experts. Dr. Cheryl Lambert, assistant professor at Boston University, and who's at PR Prof Lamb on Twitter. And you'll also see Dr. Bailing Shah, professor of PR at San Diego State University, who is at Dr. Shah, SHA, on Twitter. Our co-host will be the Planck Center, and we're really excited about that conversation. So feel free to join us. Mark your calendars for that chat, and I'm hoping that Cheryl will join us in a little bit, or maybe she can come back to us. Just trying to wait to see if she's going to join us again. But we were very grateful that she was able to spend some time with us and give us some content, or give us some feedback rather, on what diversity looks like within her organization, how she approaches diversity from a communication standpoint in her role at McDonald's, and then also some insight into what PRSA has done and will do, hopefully continuously, to advance the conversation in diversity. Again, I do invite you to, if you're in the Nashville area, definitely invite you to be a part of our chapter and get engaged in some of the things that we're doing. If you're in Nashville, then you know that Nashville is growing and becoming more and more diverse, not just, as I say, from an ethnic standpoint, just from a cultural standpoint. The population is changing as it relates to how many people are coming into the city from other areas. So again, it's an important conversation. How can we retain, recruit, attract, etc., advance more and more diverse professionals and within the PR industry just in our city? If you're based in Nashville, that's an important conversation. So again, thank you for joining us. Hoping that Cheryl will dial back in just a little bit. I'll give her a couple more minutes to do that. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please send those questions in. I see a couple of chats coming, a couple of tweets coming through from Twitter. Not many, but just a few, mainly some retweets. But would love it if you all have any questions or want something that you want to, or have something that you want to send to Cheryl, and perhaps I can get an answer from her, even though she may not be able to call back in just yet. I may be able to get an answer from her. She actually may be in, and it could be that I need to adjust the settings on her being able to come back in. So let's see, 1 second here. All right. Okay. All right. Let's see. Here we go. I see we still have some viewers hanging on and waiting, and thank you for not dropping off since our guest speaker got disconnected from us. Thank you for not dropping off. Just wanting to wait to see if she is able to join us again. Again, go to our PRSA blog to see the content that we have been sharing and writing, and a lot of the content is created by some of the members of the National Committee for Diversity at PRSA. So I highly encourage you to go to that blog site. It's actually, or that website is actually PRSA with a Y, PRSA, get it? PRSA, right, okay, yeah. So it's PRSAY.PRSA.org. So if you were to Google PRSA with the Y on the end, this blog will come up. So you'll see several posts that we've sent out over the past couple of weeks for the month that we've been celebrating diversity, and a variety of different perspectives. So we're really excited to be able to share this content with you, and for us to be able to have dialogue around the content and around the topic in general. For instance, I did one earlier this month about Black Twitter. What is Black Twitter, right? So several people asked me, what does that mean? And what do PR people, why do PR people care? Why do PR people need to know about Black Twitter and what that really means, and what the phenomenon of creating a community around a hashtag is essentially what it is. The phenomenon around creating a movement or a community around a hashtag expands into how you relate to a specific audience based on what they are relating to within themselves, within their community. So I give some tips on that. Also, the Nashville chapter president, Lori Parker, has a post about embracing change when cultural diversity meets your chapter. What does it look like, as I was talking about earlier? What does it look like when your city starts to change through the cultural diversity? It's starting to enhance, and your chapter isn't, right? So what does it mean? What does it mean to start tweaking some things so that your chapter looks like the city that you live in? And you're putting that energy and that face around what the industry looks like to others who are not in our industry in your city. So Lori did a great blog post about that as well. We're very excited about that. And there's so much other good content on that blog. Feel free to go check it out and see all the comments that are out there and all the content that's out there. If I don't hear from Cheryl, I don't see any questions coming in right now. I'll check Twitter one more time to see if we have any questions or if we have anything coming along the chat. Let's see. No, we don't have any more questions coming along the chat, but I hope that you all will, look Cheryl up, Google her, see how accomplished she is, and reach out if you'd like to be a member of a chapter in your area. Find someone in your area, go to the PRSA website. If you're really, really interested in diversity and realize how important it is in our changing world nowadays, I definitely encourage you to get involved on a committee within your organization or within the PRSA chapter in your city. And then also, don't forget about the chat that I just mentioned. We have a Twitter chat. Today's a Google Hangout. We'll have a Twitter chat tomorrow at 7 p Central, 8 p Eastern, about advancing diverse candidates into the industry from the classroom. Dr. Bailin Shah from San Diego University, as well as Dr. Cheryl Lambert from Boston University, are going to be our guest experts talking to us about how we can, or giving us guest expertise, from the classroom, how to recruit more diverse students to our PR programs within our university. I'm here now in my office at Lipscomb University, where I teach the PR courses. So what does it mean for us to be able to start in the classroom, give the students that we have, whether they fit into what people would assume as a majority? How do we even inspire them to be a champion for diversity, right? And how do we, once we prepare our students to go into the industry, how do we prepare them not only to get in but stay in, right? How do we have engaging conversations and initiatives with companies so that companies will do what they can to recruit more diverse candidates to certain positions? So this is the conversation we'll be having tomorrow. We hope that you will join us, 7 p Central, 8 p Eastern on Wednesday, August 26th. All you have to do is go to Twitter, follow the PRSA Twitter handle, and follow the hashtag PR Diversity, and you'll see all the good conversation that we're having. I think that Cheryl may have tried to join us again. I'm just kind of guessing she did, but just in case she didn't, I don't see any questions out there, so we'll go ahead and wrap the chat up. And thank you for watching us. I see we have several viewers, right around the amount that we typically have. We will do PRSA Nashville. We will do one more Google Hangout for the year. And we've yet to determine who that guest expert will be, but we have some names in mind, and whoever will be will definitely be of the caliber of our last 3 speakers. So we're really, really excited about being able to have a really strong program and create some synergy around this conversation with those of you who may not be based in our city. So that's always good as well. So we'll be sending out an invitation within the next couple of months from PRSA Nashville. And you'll see that follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and like us, or like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And you can friend us here on Google Plus, or you can just subscribe to our YouTube page as well. Thank you again for joining us, and thanks to Cheryl for joining us as well, although she was traveling, and again, she may have tried to join back in, but I don't know that it may have let her in right now. But we appreciate her time. We appreciate her for joining us. We appreciate the insight that she's been able to give to us today, as well as the work that she has done with the PRSA National Committee for Diversity and Inclusion as well. And oh, that's a great point that we recently added inclusion to the name of the committee. So that's been a great opportunity to expand the concept of diversity as we approach it in the industry. So again, thank you. If you want to see a replay of what we did today, what we recorded today, I will post the link to YouTube. It actually may already be in there, but I will post the link to YouTube to the Google Plus page where for this particular event, so that you can go back and watch a replay if you like. Thank you again. And I see that we just have one other viewer, two other viewers. Come on. Thank you again, and definitely stay tuned for more content from PRSA Nashville. And also, please continue to follow the conversation about diversity and inclusion for Diversity Month this month with PRSA. Thank you. Have a great day.